Hey everybody, I'm Mike,
I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
and this is the AACA Library Weekly Update, which has been a little out of touch with the weeks. Might be switching to the monthly update.
Yeah, bi-monthly. It's been a while.
Yeah, we've been very busy around here, so we're gonna fill you in on what's been going on since I think around March. Is that the last time we kind of April, March?
Late March.
We did, yeah, because we did March Madness. So, kicking things off, we'll talk a little bit about the movie machine. It is completely done, as you may have seen. We completed a little short film mini documentary that we made about the building of it and the process of how we got from point A to point B, C, D, and I guess we're kind of at E or F by now.
Yeah.
But it's rolling, it's going good. We're converting videos and films and they're added up to YouTube. You can check out our little mini documentary. It's up on YouTube as well, and you can check out that's from our main website, aacalibrary.org. If you want to watch that, it's about 10-15 minutes long. It covers a good deal of kind of how we built all this, so it might fill in some of your questions of like, oh, how does it work, or what does it do, or how did you get to this, and so that's there. And as we said, we've been busy. We've been actually very, very busy, and we've got many, many collections that have come in the past couple months.
Yeah, we sure have. I think that we've been busy is a pretty good understatement.
Yeah.
And that, again, is a major reason why we haven't been able to do our weekly updates, just because we're so busy doing regular old library stuff. Just this spring and summer, we received 4 huge collections at the library. The first came from a gentleman in Wisconsin, Mark Thiessen, and he donated it in memory of his father, Red. And it is a collection of racing material because Mark spent his career writing for automotive publications. He started with Midwest Racing News in 1970, and he was fortunate enough to go to all sorts of racing events. He collected thousands of programs, press kits, photographs, and again, this is from the 70s to probably early 2000s. So this collection, the Thiessen collection, will really complement the O'Reilly collection that we received last year. And if you don't remember from any kind of update that we gave last year, the O'Reilly collection focuses on 50s and 60s racing. So the two collections really complement each other. And I guess our only hole now will be a large pre-war racing collection. Yeah. So who knows what will happen with that down the road. Probably the largest collection that we got donated to us came in May, and that was from the Amos Publishing Cars and Parts Library. So a huge Cars and Parts was around for a couple decades. Unfortunately, they've gone out of business, but fortunately for us, they respected our library enough to trust us with their collection and to preserve it for the long haul. And it is a huge collection of early periodicals. We filled dozens, if not hundreds, of holes, early, like 1900 to 1910, Cycle and Automobile Trade Journal, the Automobile, even some motor issues that we didn't have. So we were able to fill out, again, our periodical collection really got beefed up that way. That collection also contained a lot of pre-war sales literature as well, a lot of interesting stuff, and I think Matt's going to talk about some of those highlights, and even Michael mentioned what he's added to the collection soon. A Vintage Chevy Club is one of our special collections that we house here. They still own their collection, like all of the special collections that are tenants here, but they're expanding to it, and they probably tripled the size of their library.
Very big.
They brought 2 large collections here. The first collection was multimedia material, film strips, 16mm films, and even some 35mm films as well. So those are already on the shelf. But just 3 days ago, they brought another collection that comprises or is filled with just sales literature, dealer albums, shop manuals, technical service bulletins. So our intern, Chrissy, she is hard at work and getting a good workout every day, moving boxes, organizing things. And we're going to have the lobby cleaned up here probably in the next month or so, but it's been sort of a battle. Every time we get one collection eliminated, another one comes in. Just 2 weeks ago, Steve and I went out to Allentown to pick up some material from the Charles Shellbaum collection. And Mr. Shellbaum was a fixture at Hershey for years. He sold Antiquities, not just automobile-related material. He was into you name it, boats, military aviation, art, fine art. But when he passed away, his family again thought highly of the library, so they were willing to donate. I think it was over 1,100 pieces, including antique books, sales literature, press kits, and the like. So again, we're really fortunate that people think so highly of the library, and we thank everybody. It's a little bit of a daunting task as we walk through the lobby every morning and we see everything that we have to do. I guess you could say it's job security, but one day we would like to dig out and get everything organized and accessible. All of these collections that I mentioned, they'll slowly be available to the public. I know a lot of the vintage Chevy guys come in during fall meet and want to see it. Just because of the volume and our proximity to fall meet, I don't know that all of it will be accessible this fall meet. But just as soon as it is, we'll of course give everybody access that we can get. Circling back to the cars and parts material, I mentioned some of the pre-war literature, and I know you were kind of jazzed about some of the stuff you had.
Yeah, we got part of the process of going through this is we go through, see what we have, see what we don't have, and as far as stuff that we don't have, we are adding a lot from the cars and parts as far as literature goes, even some books as well. But literature, we're getting a lot of pre-war, specifically 30s and earlier material that's being added into the hundreds of pieces now, and we're still maybe not even halfway through going through all the boxes of literature that we have to add or to sort through. So the volunteers, we have a couple of volunteers that come in on a regular basis. Usually every Friday they pop in, and they're helping us sort through this stuff. We call them the Bobs. It's Bob Stauffer and Bob Turpak, and who else is helping? Warren Erb,
and Greg
Schaefer. And Greg Schaefer. I couldn't remember his last name. And Greg, and they're all kind of helping and putting us, easing the load a little bit is probably the best way to say it.
Huge help.
Yeah, we high thanks for that.
But I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, they really get a kick out of it. But so we're adding a bunch of stuff, which is good for not only us in the library, but for people that come in and want to look at stuff. So this fall meet, you'll have new stuff to look at when you come visit us. But there's a lot of things being added, a lot of really cool pieces, a lot of really high-end pieces, stuff from Pierce Arrow, Packard, like stuff from the 30s and 20s, and all other marks and stuff like that. And it's I'm going through and I'm like, oh, how do we not have this? I'm like, oh, this is really neat. It's been a while since we've had that where we get this like really influx of really high-end kind of older material. So that's been fun. But the other part of that equation is the stuff that we do have, we end up selling, and Matt's going to have a lot of stuff for you to be checking out in the near future.
Oh yeah, loads and loads of stuff. In fact, if you look behind us right here, if you've been in here before, we had 2 columns of books for sale. Well, now we've gone to 3 because we have that much.
And come fall meet, it might even be 4 and 5.
Yeah, maybe 8.
Yeah, who knows? This whole row might just be for sale.
So Chrissy's been helping me out the past few weeks, taking pictures of lots of shop manuals. We've added a ton of them, and here's an example of one that you might find in our eBay store. I mean, look at that. The cover is nice. The inside pages are nice and clean. No soily fingerprints.
Call in the next 5 minutes for free shipping.
Yeah, right.
Very, very rare. But some of the stuff's a little more beat up than this, but if you are looking for an original, authentic shop manual, not a reprint, check in with us at stores.ebay.com/AACA-library-store. Or just go to our website, aacalibrary.org, and click on the eBay icon, and it'll take you to our store.
Yeah, he's not lying. There's a ton of those, and they run all different decades and all different marks, and there's a lot of stuff to choose from.
We also added books.
There's a lot of books as well.
Yeah, a lot of mark-specific books. So if you like Ford or Chevy, you could find something to whet your appetite. And then there's more, though. We have the yard sale every year. I think this is the
4th?
No, this is the 3rd.
Third?
Yeah.
Third one? Okay, so it's the 3rd one. And, last year... Okay, so the first year that we did it, there was a lot of pre-war stuff. There was we had never done... we had done the auction before, but it had been a while since then, so we had accumulated quite a bit. So it was a nice sampling of that. If you came and you were looking for something, the odds of you finding something were pretty high. But as things go, you know, people go through things, and
You got cleaned out.
yeah, the supply starts to dwindle. Well, I have good news for you this year. This year, the pre-war, like we're talking like 30s on back, it's gonna be like this much stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a very like diverse sampling of things. So it's not just like your common stuff like Ford and Chevrolet. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But if you like Cord, Pierce Arrow, stuff like that, you are in for a treat.
Yeah, I think we filled 2 big of the bankers boxes of just 30s and before and earlier. So that gives you, and like I said, we're not even halfway through sorting it all, so there's still a bunch that will probably be added to that.
And lots of 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and then of course the classic pay what you think it's worth 80s on up. So yeah, mark your calendar for Fall Meat Week, Tuesday, October 3rd, 4 to 7 p.m. Get here early, because there's going to be a lot of people filling up that lobby, and you want to be the first person in line, because if you're not, you might not find that really, really rare thing that you've been looking for all your life. Or maybe the past few years, I don't know.
Who knows?
The last thing, and this is actually pretty cool, in addition to our eBay sales and, you know, the yard sale, there's a local antique mall in Palmyra called Black Swan Antiquities, and we have a booth there now. So it's a good place for us to sell like a lot of the stuff that doesn't really move here, or is like kind of awkward to ship, like car parts, prints,
Figurines, little
little
posters,
knick-knacky things.
coffee pots.
Yeah, knick-knacky things. Yeah, the first thing that we sold was a Fisher Price, like a 1980s Fisher Price gas station car
Like a
wash
yeah,
thing.
car wash, little toy.
Yeah, so that was our first sale. But it's kind of interesting to see what sells at an antique mall, because it's a little bit different than what we see on eBay. So the knick-knacky stuff does pretty well there. But they're in Palmyra, PA. If you want to find out more information about that, just give us a call. And actually, I was in there the other weekend, and I found something to add to the collection. It's a Supergirl comic from the 80s about seatbelt safety.
Uh-huh.
So you never know what you're going to find there.
Who's it presented by? Honda, I think.
Yeah,
Sponsored it.
presented by Honda in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Transportation's National Safety Belt Campaign.
You never know what you'll find. At
Yeah,
Black
you'll
Swan
never know.
Antiquities.
So, lots of stuff for sale. We have it. You want it, please buy it.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention, I forgot to kind of mention it earlier. I do want to do a future webcast about it, but I just want to fill everybody in and give you a little heads up. If you've never heard of the Fisher Body Craftsman Guild, start Googling, start checking out some books about it, because it was a really cool program that General Motors launched in 1931, and it ran through the 1960s. And the way it worked was, in the beginning, it was just open to boys. Eventually, girls were allowed to participate as well, but the kids would design, or they would build a carriage based off of plans. And then in 1937, it opened up so that you could do a free design, so you could just make your own car. And then there'd be state competitions, and then winners of each state would be sent to Detroit, where they would win major scholarships. I mean, it was a huge event. It was on the radio. The guys got first class accommodations, clothing once they were out there, a little daily stipend. But eventually, the guild dissolved. It was a recruiting tool for General Motors, and at some point they just said it's not worth our money. Now, the guild participants naturally are still very passionate about what they did, because it was a major experience. I mean, it literally took them close to 12 months to make a model. So they had a lot of time and energy and emotion invested into these models. Now, as these guildsmen are getting older, they're running into a common situation in the automotive hobby, where their kids or their relatives might not be interested in hanging on to this material, so they're thinking about long-term preservation of guild models and literature. So what some of the guildsmen are trying to do is create regional repositories throughout the country where if you're a guild participant and you want to preserve your material, you can send it to one of these locations, and AACA Library is going to become one of these locations. Tony Simone, who was a national first prize winner, I think in 1961, he was down here to the library back in, I think, April, and just to see him go through our guild literature was pretty cool because he got emotional about the whole thing, brought back a lot of memories, good memories for him. So he's really excited about launching this program. We're really excited about launching the program just because it's just so cool just to preserve the history and make sure that it's here for future generations and future decades. Again, there'll be more news to come with that, but if you're interested or were a member of the Fisher Body Craftsman Guild, reach out to us because not only do we have information in our files, but we would love to preserve your stuff as well. But more on that to come down the road and a future webcast.
Cool. Yeah, it's really neat stuff. And we have a couple models and stuff here too, so
Yeah.
if you haven't checked them out, you can come swing by and look at those too.
Yep.
And we also, when we were going through a backlog of
that's right.
stuff, we found some, we rediscovered, I don't remember what it was.
It's like
In one of our display cases, we have one of the Fisher Body chariots that was that a guy built in 1933, and it was the Vermont first class winner. And it was built by a young man named Raymond Wood. So we had a file on Raymond Wood's stuff, a letter that he sent while he was in Detroit. He sent it back home to his mom, talking about how much he enjoyed the program and how much he was interested in the next year's program and the design changes that he was going to make. It included his newsletters. Well, then these guys, I think I was out on vacation.
Yeah, I think
or
you were
something,
gone.
and
Yeah.
I came back, and on my desk was this Fisher Body Craftsman Guild stuff, and it was before they even came in, and I just started flipping through it, and I got so excited. But it was like the menu for the main dinner. It included photographs of the kids playing baseball and going to tour different buildings, I think the proving grounds. Just crazy, amazing material. So we were really lucky that we rediscovered it, and now it's in the file where it belongs, and all of Mr. Wood's stuff is together.
It was funny because we were just going through boxes and like, oh, what is this? And then I think it was I came across something and I was like, why is this in here? It's like just like food and then just random pictures of people playing, like you said, like baseball. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And then we get a little deeper, and then I see on one thing you can see the Fisher Body Guild, like signature Craftsman Guild, like kind of emblem or something on something. I was like, wait a minute. Backtracked, and then all of a sudden I was like, hey Matt, we need to look through all of this and see what else is in here. So we had a little like treasure hunt going on.
Kind of shows you how easy history can just slip away, and if you're not careful, it could really be thrown away.
It was totally something like that. We're like, I don't know what this is. Well, we didn't throw it away. We just set it aside. We're like, we'll look at that later. And I'm glad we kind of went back to it and found out what it was, and it wasn't just some random photos that we didn't know what they were.
Yeah,
so.
priceless material.
Yeah. So I think that covers about everything.
Yeah, that's everything I wanted to mention.
Good.
We'll try to be more regular, and we thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah. See you next time.
Right out.